Hello all and welcome, and I'm the MGTOW philosopher. And in this video, I would like to discuss MGTOW and what it is. Now, I've seen people commenting and asking what MGTOW is, and I think some of the folks watching this vid right now might not have a good understanding of what MGTOW is. Many of you do, of course, as this type of content is often purposely sought out, but it also stands to reason that some of you will not. And I also think that many of the online definitions in regards to the subject are either too complex or they're just not informative enough in regards to context. So in this video, I will endeavor to explain exactly what MGTOW is with as much accuracy as I can muster. Now first, let us start with an explanation of what exactly MGTOW is before I start going into details. So, for all intents and purposes, MGTOW is nothing more than men going their own way. That's it. Now, the reasons for men going their own way have to do with the dangers of being involved with women in any serious way, meaning marriage or living with a woman, as just living with her often gives her some legal rights, and it can be hard to get her to leave if things go south. Not to mention possible palimony suits and other such nonsense. And that's it. That's the basic definition of MGTOW in a nutshell. Men going their own way because marriage and even living with a woman have become too problematic because of an unfair legal system that is heavily biased against men. A system which contains mostly anti-male laws in regards to divorce, and is a system peopled with feminists and white knights. Now, that being said, is there more to it than that? Well, yes. For example, some have tried to outline different levels, which I'm not going to get into specifically, except to present the choices one has as a MGTOW man, which are the choices any man has available to him once he's decided not to live with or marry a woman. Now, the reason I'm not going to get into these levels is because I believe naming things and giving them levels is not only arbitrary in this case, since MGTOW is just men going their own way, but it's also systematic, which begins to turn something from a simple idea and nothing more into a system with its own teachings and philosophies, which I think is a very bad idea. For you see, I believe this creates more divisiveness than unity, and creates schisms where you have some people saying, this is what MGTOW is, while others will say, no, that is not real MGTOW, this is real MGTOW, and you are not real MGTOW. Essentially, people with different ideologies clashing. This is nothing more than another form of virtue signaling and divisive nonsense. It lets in ideology and the ideas of exclusion and inclusion based upon ideological beliefs being attached to the very simple idea of men going their own way. So as men, let us just agree that MGTOW is nothing more than men going their own way. Okay? Now, as for me as a MGTOW man, I have not sworn off women entirely. Just the idea of living with or marrying a woman, or spending money on her. Now that's enough for me. Yeah, I'll date a woman, though I admit I haven't done so in some time. It's just too much nonsense, and as I get older, I want to deal with less, not more crap. I will also sleep with whoever I feel like, and I generally don't even take that very seriously. In essence, I'm a very settled down man, as it were. And without being married, imagine that. Now, I think my reasons for turning to MGTOW are much the same as those other men out there who have turned to MGTOW. No, I was not married, but I saw how men were getting raped by the divorce courts and foolishly trying again and again, believing that marriage was just fine, but that it was simply they that were somehow at fault, failing to understand that it was a rigged system and no different from a casino. They just didn't get it. The system was designed to be against them in the first place. A system where the house will always win and you will always lose. Essentially, it was designed that way. And most men just don't get that. Now, I get it. And I got it a long time ago. And I decided to opt out. And I think this is the case with a lot of men who decide to go MGTOW. So, yeah, I'm open to pumping and dumping, and would be open to a casual relationship, where if she got too demanding, she just gets kicked to the curb. Now that's my existence in regards to women as a MGTOW man. Now, some MGTOW guys are not even open to the possibility of a relationship, and have no interest in women at all, except to pump and dump them. Sweet! Less trouble. Some people simply fall into this category in a de facto way. Like myself, I guess, as it has been years since I had any type of relationship with a woman beyond a sexual nature. Just pumping and dumping. So I guess I'm not much different, really. I'm just not close to the possibility of a relationship. A small distinction, I suppose. Then you have men who swear off women entirely. These guys like to call themselves MGTOW monks. As I said, I don't like labels or classifications because I think that's nothing more than a different form of identification, and it reeks too much of identity politics to me and some sort of associated ideology. Anyhow, these fellows have no interest whatsoever in women, as they see them as completely toxic and cancerous, and not even worth the trouble of engaging with. Nothing wrong with that. Well, this isn't my approach. This is just a matter of differing choices, and does not make one of us any more or less MGTOW, as the point is really nothing more than not giving women access to your resources by marriage, living together, or in any other way, shape, or form. Whatever you do outside of these few tenets, changes nothing in regards to you being a MGTOW or not. As for one wondering how such guys take care of certain biological imperatives, well, that's simple. Sex toys, of course, and I have no problem talking about such things. Well, at least in passing. I mean, given that women tend to own at least one, usually a vibrator, why can't men? Because men should go for the real thing, right? Yeah, okay. It's okay for women to use such things because for them, cock is cheap. But for us, we must not cheapen the pussy. No, we have to worship the pussy. Anyhow, MGTOW monks will often avail themselves of such things. And there's a great deal out there to avail yourselves of. From partial body parts that look and feel realistic to full-size sex dolls. There's a lot out there that's available. And if the quality is good enough, it's no doubt worth the money. Now, not my cup of tea per se, but that's a personal preference and nothing more. And I don't fault any guy out there for making such a choice, as I know what a pain in the ass women are in general. And there's nothing wrong with opting out 100%, even sexually. I have no problem with that. It's just a matter of personal preference. Now, of course, there are other types of mindsets men will have in regards to women, as well as different ways they may or may not act in regards to approaching them after they've gone their own way. And you can try and boil those down into some type of category and brand it a level or a label of some kind, but that isn't really necessary, or at all useful for that matter. And that just complicates something that at its heart is a very simple idea and not an ideology. Look, when you take away all of the ideology and the philosophical tenets that some people are trying to attach to MGTOW to give it their own spin, their own feel, their own quote-unquote idea of what MGTOW should be, what you end up with, really, at the core of it, the foundation, which is all that's really important, or should be, is this. Men going their own way because of a bad system that has been corrupted to be against men and men's interests, and a social environment that has poisoned both women and many a man's mind with the toxic ideas of feminism, aka cultural Marxism, an ideology which is wholly evil and which will always be my enemy. So, forget about ideology. Forget about all of the ideology. Forget all of the supposed philosophical and dogmatic tenets you might have learned about that are surrounding MGTOW. There are but a few tenets within MGTOW that make a man a MGTOW man. 1, never marry a woman. 2, never live with her. And 3, don't spend money on her. And that's it. Anything else outside of this realm is just personal choice and preference. It couldn't be more simple or more effective than that. And as the KISS principle always says, keep it simple, stupid. And that is what you should do. Keep it simple, stupid. I am the MGTOW philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.